here. All right, jazz hands for the speaker and questioners. We're moving into the speeches between 2 and 3 minutes, and I think when it gets to the 2-minute 15 mark, I'll just ring my little bell. That means you have 15-20 seconds to finish your speech. I'd like to invite Rachel to unmute, and I believe you'll be speaking in the negative. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rachl Aguirre, and one thing I've kind of noticed is it's really easy to make a decision whether a child has the right to live or not when we're not that child. I've been involved in the pro-life movement since 3rd grade. I have seen every aspect of abortion. I've even seen and held babies who've been aborted and then thrown into the trash can outside of Planned Parenthood. These things are for real. These things really happen. And at what point are we okay with compromising the killing of a life? I've heard a lot of different arguments tonight. I will tell you, I am the sister of a brother who has Down syndrome. At what point did his life not become valuable? He has just as much value as anyone else. My students come from really bad situations in their families. When did we decide that because someone is from a poor socioeconomic environment, when did their life become less valuable? I mean, let's look at people like Frederick Douglass, Ben Carson. Let's look at even Kathy Barnett, one of our new representative candidates in Pennsylvania, who's the result of a rape when her mother was only 11 years old. When did her life not be valued? But yet look at where all of these people are, and look at what they have done for not only our country, but us as a human race, and the joy and the hope that we have. Let's take a look at, let's see, here's what's next. Convenience. At what point do we get to decide what's convenient for us and not? I hear people talking about, about God and how God is okay with it. No, God is not okay. God is very clear in the scriptures. If you say that you believe in God and you are a Christian, you cannot at any point support abortion because of the fact that God says that it is murder. In Psalms 139:13, it says, you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. That right there says that the Lord is telling us that it is a human life. Okay, let's talk about at what point is it done? The Dred.
No, you don't have to stop. You have a little.
Oh, okay. The Dred Scott decision. How wrong was the Supreme Court by saying that blacks were not humans, and yet it got turned over because we realized that the courts were wrong. Again, because we said that blacks were not human. They had no value. They were unable, they had no value. They had no human life. They were not even human. They were property. So if we can say that about blacks, and that our country made a very bad decision in regards to saying that black people were not even human, but property, then we again have to then say that an unborn child is human life, and that we have, as a country, as the Supreme Court, made the wrong decision in supporting and legalizing abortion.
I'm going to invite questions for the speaker. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to recognize Susan Baust for our first question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am assuming that the speaker believes that life begins at conception. And I would like to understand, since that is not the scientific definition of when life begins. If you are an OBGYN doctor, life begins at implantation, not conception. So the many fetuses that are lost between the time of an egg being fertilized and for whatever reason don't get implanted in the uterus, those aren't considered abortions by the medical community. And the medical community would tell you that life does not begin at conception. If you're going to pick a spot, you have to at least start with implantation.
So you'd like to?
I would like to know if that makes a difference in what she thinks about life.
Okay, Rachel, you have the floor.
Thank you. I would say, no, I'm not an OB, I'm a teacher actually. So I work with kids with special needs, and that is why when I heard someone make the comment about people with disabilities, that really boils my blood because I value these children I work with. In regards to conception, it tells us, as a Christian, it tells us that God already knew us. So when you have that conception, that is when all the DNA, everything is together, and that is what makes us up as a human being. It determines our sex, it determines our hair color, our skin color, it determines a lot our traits as a human being. And so if you remember Time Life magazine, after all this happened with abortion being legalized, Time Life magazine came out and they literally did a spread of pictures of the unborn child from the moment of conception to 9 months, right before birth, of the formation of a child. And what we need to do is we need to stop. I mean, we have people that don't have arms. Does that make them less human? Because they don't have an arm or arms, or they don't have legs, or they only. I mean, I work with a child who has no stomach muscles. He has what they call prune belly, and so he doesn't have parts of his body that help him. Does that make him less human? And so, in regards to conception, that's when the DNA is created. That is everything that creates us as a human being. I hope I answered your
I'd like
question.
to thank the speaker for that contribution and the questioner. Because we have a number of people who still want to speak, and we don't want to go all night long, although maybe we do, I think I'm just going to, in the interest of allowing a few more speeches in the 2-minute range, invite our next